Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car modeling tutorial. And in this episode what I think we will work on is smoothing some of the aero elements of the car. Now in the last episode we separated all the parts, so we're ready to start going through and starting smoothing and adding some detail to all the elements here. But what we're going to do first is I think we'll just go through and we'll cover all the basics as we go through all of the different aero elements here now. There is one bit we are missing on the model so far. On the front splitter here we have an additional element that comes down the front, which I think we'll model first, and then what we'll do is we'll start adding some additional topology to this section down here to kind of get what it is that we're looking for. So what it is we're making, it's kind of like a little fin that kind of comes down, but it has a little bit of detail on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to cheat a little bit with this, and rather than have it protrude out from the actual lip itself, we could add some additional geometry. Now let's just have a look and see. Maybe it might actually be easier to extrude up rather than add an additional section. If I see my reference images here, it looks like we're probably gonna, we've already got kind of a section laid out for it. We could just add in a second piece of information inside. So I think what we'll do is we won't actually cheat, we'll go for the extrusion out the front here so we can kind of see what we're working with just there. So I think what we'll do is we'll insert an edge loop and we're going to drop this down just here like so, and it looks like our secondary edge inside there is looking pretty good. So what we'll do is we'll work with what we have just here. So I'm going to select this face here and I'm going to hit Ctrl E because we're going to extrude this up, and we'll do this in the world option. And what we're going to do is we are going to pull it up ever so slightly, just like this. So it's going to have kind of a little additional lip. It's not just going to go straight up, we'll have an additional lip on there. Now we're going to hit Ctrl E again and we're going to pull up, and this time we're not going to do it on the world option because we're going to want to try and get a nice uniform scale here. Now maybe we'll be able to see on the side how this looks here. So we're a little bit too far back, but we can adjust that afterwards. So we can see that maybe what we've got there, just like that, that's looking okay. And on the front here we can kind of see that we need to come all the way in, so we'll do that with just the vertices here. So we'll bring that in something like that. Now we'll want to isolate this selection real quick because what we don't want are all these faces on the back of this section. So we can go through and we can delete those there. We can leave the ones on the back end. Actually no, because we haven't currently got any for anything else, so we'll get rid of that just now. Now in doing that we're going to need to snap these to the center, so we can do that by holding X. And we're going to want to make sure we bring this bit in as well, so we'll bring that in something like this. And we'll maybe bring both of these down, and we'll bring this back down a little bit more. So you can kind of see now that we're going along this little section here. So that looks fine. So what we'll do is we will now grab our face again, and we are going to hit Ctrl E, and what we'll do is we'll take this all the way up to where it finishes off. So we'll just bring that all the way up here. So we can see now that we've got quite a curve inside this section. So we'll bring that to this point here, and we'll maybe just bring this down just somewhere like that, so it's not going to interfere in anything. Now it looks on the blueprints here that we have a hole. Now there is some kind of detail inside there. Yep, there's definitely a little hole in there, so that's not too bad. So what we're going to do is we are firstly seeing if we can address the issue with it not lining up at the front here. So what we could maybe do is we can maybe bring all of this forward, and then we can try to reflect that in the rest of this here. So bring all of these forward just a little bit there. That should be fine. So now we can see that we're lining up quite nicely here. So it looks like it gets really thin. So I think what we'll want to do is we're going to want to insert an edge loop, and we're going to want to drop one maybe just about, let's see, what we'll actually do is we'll drop this here. So we'll drop that roughly there, so that means we can use that in order to, just make sure, we can use that there in order to define the actual hole. Again, I'm going to need to isolate this because we're going to have these rear faces here. Again, we'll take everything off this back section too. And we'll maybe leave the top for now actually. Let's do something like that. So what that's going to allow us to do is that's going to allow us now to make the actual front portion of this. So if we grab this vertices and this one here, we'll actually be able to bring that forward like so. And you can see that's going to come roughly to about there, so it's nice and thin in terms of the actual section, but we can see that we've still got some of the main width and structure inside there. What we'll also do is we're going to add another edge loop, and we're going to drop that in, which is going to reflect that rear portion, that circle there. And we'll insert some edge loops. Now the first ones we'll do here is going to go here and here. So these are going to reflect what we need for this kind of oval section that we have. Okay, and then we can start bringing these out here. Now we can see that with the additional line that we've added, we do have a quite considerable inward section there, which we can pull this in like so. What we'll do is we'll just add a couple of edge loops all the way up here. Each of these here can start to build this corner section for us. Maybe put two more here just at the top. And this will be a section that we will end up smoothing eventually. Maybe drop one more up here, just to kind of give it that first piece of elevation. Now we can see that we've got actual additional curve in this bumper here that we will need to add, so we'll leave that there as it is just now. As we go, so that's looking pretty good. So we can see where the actual front section there needs to come out to, so we'll need to add an edge all the way up around there. So that's looking pretty decent. So what we'll want to do then is we will have a think about extracting this section here. So we'll just delete the face, and we will hit Control E here, and let's just isolate the selection so we can get these parts here. Holding X, we can snap this to the center. Okay, so in our side view here, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're in a nice square. And what we'll actually do is we'll make sure we're going up nice and close to each of these sections here. So that's pretty good. Now the easiest thing for us to do is going to be to bevel these edges. So what we can do is we can grab each of these here, and we will go to Mesh and Bevel, and we're just going to, let's just increase the fraction here to kind of match what's there. Maybe we'll just add 2 segments inside for now. And what we'll actually do with these is we will recycle all these edges, and we'll actually take them out here, which is just going to help us add additional curvature. to what we already have here. So we can bring those out here. And then we'll do the same out on this rear side here and here. So what we'll actually do is we'll delete this edge. We'll go something like that. Let's just make sure that all the vertices have gone with it, which they have. And all we'll do here is we'll simply just join these sections up to what we have, something like that. And we'll do the same over here, just to keep it nice and clean. So get rid of all of those. And we'll do the same with all of these. Okay. And then we can just draw these back in where we want them to be down here. Let's get rid of those. Oops, looks like we've got the vertices over that side that we don't want. So we just want to remove any additional vertices just by selecting them. Go from there to there, here to here. And then we can just join these up to here and here. And then again, we'll go something like this. Okay, so we're looking pretty good there. Got a nice little section inside. So that's looking pretty good. So what we could do is we could add a little insert inside here at some point. Let's see how easy it would be to grab a edge loop and pull around. Okay, that's not happen. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So we'll add an insert inside here at some point. So what we'll do is we'll aim to add a little bit of geometry in here so that we can smooth this section. So what we'll do is we'll have a go at throwing in some edge loops. So when it comes to smoothing, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we double up on some of our edge loops. So for example here, if I was to hit 3 on this element here, we can see that's shown as a smoothing group. And at the front here, we kind of want a nice straight angle. You can see that currently what we have is a fairly smooth angle. So what we want to do with this is we want to insert more edge loops or any kind of edge in place to kind of add some structure. So if we was to add an edge loop down here and down here, what's going to happen now when we smooth this is we can see that we've got a sharper edge. So that's what we're going to be aiming to implement here as we go. So we have 2 edges now that we've inserted just on there. Let's see. Now this might be a little bit tricky the way that we've done this because some of these might not fall in too nicely with each other, so we can just add some edge loops in and around this area and see how it fits. Let's put that one there. If we hit 3, we can see now that we should have a slightly more defined line around there rather than a smooth one. What we may need to do around this section here is we may need to draw around. So if we grab some points here, and stay nice and close to this section, we'll just draw the whole way here. Now one of the issues up top in doing this means that we're going to be creating some small triangles, and triangles are no good when we want it to be nice and smooth. So what we'll do is we'll go through a technique in which we can remove those triangles pretty easily. Okay, so it looks like we've got a little issue here. It doesn't seem to be recognizing these two, so what we'll do is just now real quick is we'll make sure that this is merged. So sometimes when it doesn't actually work as you want it to, it could be because the vertices isn't completely merged with the area that we want it to. So we can see now that's going to let me draw that line, and we'll just pull straight to here. So now we have this triangle which we don't want, so we're going to grab both these vertices, we're going to go edit mesh and merge, and we're going to do the same with these ones here. Edit mesh again and we can merge. So now if we hit 3, we'll see we've got a really nice defined bit going around that section there, which looks pretty good. So looks like the edge on the front here is fairly defined as well. So what we'll do is we will insert an edge loop which is going to run down like so, and we'll also run one down the front here, and we'll maybe run a loop here and here. So you can kind of see now we've got a nice little straight section there. You can see that we've got that nice little ridge over the top here. So that looks pretty good. Now we're going to want to make sure as well that this portion here, so hitting 1 is going to take us back to our original section here, and we're going to want to run a loop all the way down this front, and we're going to want to run one all the way down the secondary line here. So we can see we've got a nice smooth section inside there, which is fine. Don't need that to be too sharp, and then we can see that that's running up to a nice defined edge up here. Now it looks like we want a little bit more definition here, and we also want a little bit more definition over here. So we will insert another edge loop, and we're going to drop one just here, and we'll drop one just here. So this is just going to shore up the corners here and make sure that they're still looking pretty good. So we can see now we've got slightly pointed edges there. We're looking pretty good down here, this section there. So what we're going to want is we're going to want a little bit more information here. So this, when we smooth this, this is curving way too much. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert some edge loops here as well. And we'll maybe drop one here, and then we'll maybe drop one here. So they're fairly close but not too close. So this means that it's going to help to kind of maintain a little bit of that section there rather than smoothing it off completely. So you can see that bit here now is looking pretty good. Okay. So I think what we'll do is, I'm just going to hit 1 just to bring that back to the polygon there. I think what we'll do is we will work on this point here, and if we've got time in this episode as well, we'll maybe smooth off the diffuser as well. So with this section that we have here, it looks like what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to grab all the points, because currently these are merged into the position of the vertices on the corresponding body panel. So what we'll actually want to do here is we're going to actually want to pull these down slightly. So pull it down something like this. So let's check that here. Okay, so we're looking okay there. And what we'll want to do with this is we're going to want to select all of the edges here, and we're going to want to hit Ctrl E to extrude, and we're going to extrude these in, and we're going to go in quite far, and then we can bring back everything else. So we've extruded in there, so we can see I've got a nice defined line. Now what we're going to want to do is, just as we did a second ago, we're going to want to add some additional lines, but I think what we're going to try to do is we are going to try to bevel some of these sections. So firstly, we'll have a go at beveling this line here, because on this car all the lines here are fairly, all the creases in the body should I say, fairly soft. So So I'm going to grab all of these edges here, we're going to hit mesh, edit mesh, and we're going to hit bevel. Now the fraction here, we're going to want to turn all the way down, maybe something like 1 should be fine. And then we're just going to add one segment to it, like so. So that's going to have curved off that gap for us. The problem is, it's going to have gave us these points here, so what we're going to need to do with the bevels is we're going to need to take these points in, because again we want to make sure that we're making polygons here, not triangles or anything with too many shapes. So we're going to grab up here and down here. What we'll do is we'll isolate this selection as well, and we're just going to make sure that we're covering ourselves on the underneath and the underside. So we're going to go to insert edge loop here, and we're going to drop one, and you're going to see that in this section here the edge loop did not continue. That's because there isn't enough edges in this section. So what we'll do with this is we can just simply merge that here, and do the same on the other side as well. So, and what that will have done for us is that would have ran an edge all the way down this bottom section here. And I think what we also want to do is we also want to insert some more edge loops, and we'll want to drop one just here and just here. Now if you want a really defined line, drop one on both sides, but on here it looks fairly soft, so I think we can get away with one. So if we hit 3 on there, remove this wireframe here, oops, and we can see that we've got a nice semi-defined line running all the way down here, which is very good. Looks like the last line we'll need to add is straight down this edge here. Straight down this edge here. Now, if you was with us for the Lamborghini tutorial, we're going to be doing it very differently in terms of these edges here, because like I said, the Koenigsegg has some very soft creases in between rather than sharp like the Lamborghini was. We can also see here that we do need a little bit more information, so again we're going to insert an edge loop, and we are going to drop it maybe somewhere here, somewhere here, just so that we can kind of keep that little kick just there. So that's looking pretty good. We've got a nice smooth line. If we bring everything else back in, it's going to look pretty good just there. What we'll do is when we actually make this section here, we'll know if this line is actually big enough, if this gap is big enough, or if it's too big. If that's the case, we'll simply just reduce the size there just by pulling those elements up. So that there's looking pretty good. Okay. So what we'll do now is we'll move around to the rear diffuser. So I'm liking what we've got at the front. Side's looking pretty good. So on this rear diffuser section, what we'll do is, these look fairly smooth as they are, and because they're going to be a dark material, that's not going to be too bad. In terms of this part here, the actual main diffuser section itself, we're just going to add in some edge loops, and it should be fairly simple because of the way we modeled it. We can drop one down here and here, and it's a fairly angular piece itself. We'll drop one around the edges here, we'll drop one around the bottom, maybe go just 2 there like so. Maybe drop one to need to move down this edge here. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, so that looks fine. Nice and simple enough. And I think what we'll maybe do is we could have a look at both the arms of the wing here and that tray. So let's just isolate the selection of this wing. Okay. Let me just open a reference image up for this section here. So we have that defined kind of slanted section underneath. So what we'll do is we'll insert some edge loops. This isn't going to be too tricky. We will run one down here and here. That's going to go underneath straight away for us. It looks fairly sharp. rigid as we go. Let's just see how that looks. Okay, so we've got a nice sharp defined edge running around, we've got that curve looking quite nice. We've got this inset section here looking okay as well. I think the only thing we'll need to do is insert an edge loop down here. Keep that section there nice and flat. That'll run up and along there for us as well. So we see now we've got a really nice defined under section there, and then we've got that nice straight section here, which is good. And then we can maybe do the same over here. We insert our edge loops, drop one down here and here. And then it looks like we'll just want one at the bottom here. So we see there, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so we're happy with that. Now we can maybe look at this tray too, because as far as I'm concerned this looks practically complete. So let's isolate this here. So it looks like we're going to want, let's see how it looks off the bat. So that actually looks pretty good. I think the only thing we really want to do with this is insert some loops here and here. We'll maybe want to go all the way down here. Maybe not, because it might be quite nice to keep that. I think that looks pretty good as is. We've got a nice smooth section up here as well. Cool, okay, happy with that. So I think what we'll do is we will just have a look now at maybe combining these sections. So once we've created all of these sections here, going up and over the body like the roof and the bonnet and things like that, what we're actually going to want to do is we are going to want to combine these elements together. So in doing so, what we want to do is select them both. We're going to go to Mesh and Combine. We're going to come through together, and then we're going to do just like we did down the side here. And we're going to go through all these central vertices and make sure that they are successfully merged. Now, this can be a little bit of a pain because everything here is so close, and we've got sections of this which are doubled up together. I like to go through fairly carefully. Now what you could do is you could select a whole bunch of these and merge them, but I generally go through one by one. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to go through, select them, edit mesh, merge, and then just go down to the next pair here and then hit G. So what I'll do is I'm just going to fast forward this section here if you do want to stick around and watch it. If not, thanks again for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.